Hey guys, what's up? What's happening? You got the King of Games 98 here at your service. How you doing? Hope y'all are doing good and staying safe. And well, if you follow me on Twitter X, then you probably saw my post that last week I was not uploading any new videos onto the channel because I was on vacation. Well, I'm officially back now. I came back yesterday, and now, as of course, because, when I go on vacation, of course I'm bound to find stuff. So this will be my summer 2024 vacation pickups video. And for reference, for vacation this summer, we went to New London, Connecticut, and it was a really cool area. And we just kind of explored. And upon exploring, found a lot of pawn shops, thrift stores, a Goodwill even in there. And then I had to look up local video game stores nearby where we were staying. And I am very glad that I did because I found two really cool businesses that I've never been to either. So sit back, relax, grab a drink, maybe a snack, and you're going to hear about my vacation and these pickups. So I'm going to try to do this in the order in which I bought them in, but not going to promise that because not sure how well my memory is going to serve me. Okay, so these definitely were the first buys of the vacation. And believe it or not, they were in a pawn shop. We walked into this pawn shop. I forget what the heck it was called, but it was on either State Street or Long Hill Road. I think it was Long Hill Road. Well, anyway, I was very surprised at all the different video games they had in the store from different generations. And I spied Akari Warriors 2 Victory Road on NES and the Chronicles of Riddick Escape from Butcher Bay on original Xbox. An original Xbox exclusive game, might I add. And out of all the games they had there, these two were really the only ones that caught my eye. And as you can see, they put $12 on Akari Warriors, and Chronicles of Riddick was $5. And when I asked, because they were locked in a display case behind a counter, so I had to ask for assistance to get them. And when the employee came and got them for me, he said, if you're paying cash, I can do $10 on this, and this one will be $5. If you're paying card, however, it will be more with tax. And now I had like a little over, I had maybe $20 or $30 on me in cash, which, for the record, I'm going to state this right here and right now, that was a mistake. Okay, I should have gotten more cash before going on vacation and bringing more cash with me than what I had on me in my wallet, instead of not bringing a lot of cash, and then, once my little cash that I had on me ran out, having to rely on my card the remainder of the trip. But that's besides the point. That was my mistake. I'm not going to let it happen again, and I'm definitely not going to do that again. But for this being the first purchase, I had $15 on me in cash, and so I gladly gave him the $15 in cash and didn't even charge me sales tax. He also didn't give me a receipt, come to think of it, but I mean, it's a pawn shop. I'm not going to be returning these. So, yeah. Now, do I love Akari Warriors? Not really. But, as you know, I am a big SNK Neo Geo fan, and this is an SNK-made video game series that's, dead now, but in the 80s and 90s was pretty alive. So I already own Akari Warriors 1, so now I have 2, and now I will be looking for 3, which I believe is called Akari 3 The Rescue. That's kind of the uncommon one. It's not worth a lot of money, but it's worth a little bit of money. Now, The Chronicles of Riddick: Escape from Butcher Bay is based off the movie The Chronicles of Riddick, starring Vin Diesel. And that's about all I know. I did pick up the movie recently. I haven't watched it yet, so I'm still planning on watching it. But I had heard of this game, I'm pretty sure from Metal Jesus Rocks, who spoke pretty highly about it, if I remember right, in like a Hidden Gem Xbox Games video that you should pick up. And I believe this is a first-person shooter, and it looks pretty darn cool. So at 5, yeah, I don't know what that is. Might have to clean this case. I don't know if you guys can tell the artwork on inside of the case. It looks like it got a little water damage. That doesn't really bother me a lot. This is complete in box, by the way. Now the manual is what's important. And well, I don't think this got waterlogged per se, but it's a little dirty, which is weird. Interesting. Well, it's complete in box, and for $5, I figured why the heck not. Maybe I'll try attempting to clean this game's case. If not, I'll just swap it out with another one, because yes, I am that collector who keeps spare empty video game cases just for this exact reason. So yeah, these were my first pickups. Pretty cool, pretty cool. And next is this guy, which I was just stunned to find in a local thrift store that was on the same street as that pawn shop was. And this is Dragon Ball Z Seasons 1 and 2 bundled together in a box set on DVD. Now, for those of you who may not know, I'm a huge Dragon Ball Z fan. My friend Davide, who, if you've been subscribed to me long enough, you've seen him on the channel, but recently he hasn't been featured in any videos in a long time. But my friend Davide is the one who got me into the series, and I've been a fan ever since. And so whenever I come across the seasons on DVD or Blu-ray, say, I will pick them up. I even have some on VHS tape in my collection, but I really try not to buy those, only because, well, they take up more room than a DVD does. And the picture and sound quality isn't as good as a DVD or Blu-ray, in my opinion. And so, yeah, we walked into this thrift store, and this was literally sitting on the counter where the register was with some Xbox 360 games. Now, I looked at the Xbox 360 games. There really wasn't anything good or anything I had to have. But this, I was like, Now, I know I have Dragon Ball Z Season 1 on Blu-ray, but in the orange box DVD set, I don't have. So I was like, I'm going to at least ask on this and, see what they want for it. Well, I asked, and the answer I got back was $3. So at $3, I was like, well, that's a no-brainer. Now, as you can see, it's got part of the shrink wrap still on it, which I think that's a tag from Walmart, because I've seen them tags before that they put on media with like a date and then whatnot. Now, believe it or not, I didn't actually open this, so we're gonna do that right now to make sure the discs were in there, and that's not something I usually don't do. I usually always do that, and so we're gonna hope and pray right now that the discs are all in there. Okay. Beautiful. Disc. Wait a minute. Did I not do that right? Oh wait, this is Season 2. Season 2, Disc 1, Disc 2, Disc 3, Disc 4, Disc 5, Disc 6. Okay. Oh, yes, I did not do that right. So that is Season 2. Wow, I can totally read. This is Season 1. Oh, son of a gun. Oh, no! Okay. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. So it looks like Season 1 is missing Disc 2. And you know what? That's okay. That was really my fault. I should have checked before buying them. But you know what? For $3, not really going to complain about it. Because, I mean, my God, these sell for new like 25 or 30, I want to say, at Walmart. So it's like, for $3, it just was pretty hard to pass up on that. So, okay. So Season 1 is missing, I think, Disc 2. Oh, well. Not the end of the world. Okay, next pickups would be these two. So pretty random, and I'm going to explain. On the same street as the previous stores were from those pickups was a small business thrift store called Sandy's Treasures. Cool place, except nothing was organized in the store. Everything was just everywhere. Stuff was thrown everywhere. There was a cat walking around the store that possibly lived in the store because it smelled like cat. And I don't have anything against cats. Please don't get the wrong idea here, but like it just didn't smell good inside of the store, basically, is what I'm getting at. And there also was bird cages with birds in them, too. So that also could have contributed to that, but it just didn't smell good. So I found this official Nintendo 2DS carrying case. Now, I recently bought and now own a launch model 2DS in the blue and black color scheme. And I was like, this is used, but it might be good to have a travel case for the 2DS. And then upon all the movies, I find Pumpkinhead 2 Blood Wings on VHS tape. Now, as you guys very well know, Kevin, who's also been featured multiple times on the channel, got me into horror movies and video games. Now, I saw Pumpkinhead 1 years ago. I think it was on PHL 17 or like one of those channels that like runs movies. And during October, it's all horror movies. So I saw Pumpkinhead 1 years ago, and wow, it was so bad and cheesy that I laughed hysterically. And it wasn't meant to be funny, but it was funny to me. So when I found the sequel on VHS tape, I was like, okay, I got to get this. I'm not going to lie, the cover art is pretty cool on it. And when I asked how much for these, the woman said $5 for both. So I was like, that's a no-brainer. So got them both for $5. And before you ask, yes, it is the right VHS tape in there. That I did check, unlike the DVDs. I did this right, but I didn't do those right. Go figure. So yeah, these two were $5. Pretty happy with that. Okay, and moving forward, the next place I went to, was called Sarge's Comics and Games, and so that was on State Street. They are located at 124 State Street, New London, Connecticut. If you're ever in the area, you got to check out Sarge's Comics and Games. Really cool freaking place. I can't stress this enough. They had anime on DVD and VHS and Blu-ray. They had manga. They had action figures, toys, Funko Pops. They had board games. They had strategy games. They had Warhammer. They had comic books. The store was so freaking big that it made me think of this local small business store by me called House of Fun, which I've mentioned them before in a couple of videos. And that's what it really made me think of. So I really dug the place. And so I just want to highly recommend. And so I mentioned the address of that place because I'm actually looking at the receipt right here for it. And yeah, highly recommend. So their manga selection was insane. I'm just going to leave it at that. It was absolutely insane. I spent a good 10 or so minutes looking over the entire manga section, and these are what I ended up buying. We have Dead Man Wonderland Volume 1. the manga, Viz Media. Now, speaking of Davide was actually also the person who got me into Dead Man Wonderland. And I could be wrong. I'm not 100% sure because, well, I don't have my manga collection written down, so I could have this already, but I'm pretty sure I don't. But either way, I was like, I never see the Dead Man Wonderland mangas, so I gotta pick that up. Now, the fact that they had this sitting on their shelf unit where they had all their mangas blew my mind. Holic by Clamp, Volume 5, and this is in like new condition. And for those of you who don't know the significance of this manga series, well, let's see. Does this have a copyright year on this? Let's see for a minute. Okay. There you go. Copyright 2005 Clamp. This is why I couldn't believe this was sitting on their shelf. This manga is almost 20 years old. Okay? This is OOP or out of print and has been for a long time, and yet this was sitting there on their shelf. I couldn't freaking believe that. Now, I love Holic, and probably like 5-6 or so years ago, I binge watched the whole anime series, did a review on it, and I absolutely fell in love with it. The art style, the story, and just the music, everything. I just loved it. So whenever I come across Holic mangas, I always pick them up. I believe I have volume 1 and maybe another volume. I'm almost certain I don't have this. And so I think they were like $10 each. I was like, yep, that's a no-brainer. And I bought them from Sarge. Thank you, Sarge. It was really cool touring your store. And I hope that if you're ever in the area in New London, Connecticut, on State Street, you guys definitely got to check that out. State Street. Yep. Okay. So I guess this would technically be next. Kind of a random pickup, but it happened on vacation nonetheless. So I have to show it, and I really, really like this shirt. So hopefully you guys will too. So I am a sucker for cool vintage car and motorcycle shirts, and we went in this store in Mystic, Connecticut called Fat Face. Now, I never heard of this brand, and it does say United Kingdom. Apparently, they are a UK brand. Established 1988. How about that? And I never heard of them, and so me and my parents went in the store on a whim, and their clothing was pretty cool, I have to say. And this shirt was on their clearance rack, and it was $28 instead of $46. Kind of expensive, and I love how it shows British pounds, and I think that one is euros, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, and Canadian dollars too on top of that. I thought that was pretty cool. Now, this is an officially licensed Volkswagen van shirt, and I just dug it, man. I really thought this was super cool. The color of the shirt, they call it ice blue. I thought that was really cool looking. So, yeah, I am now a fan of Fat Face brand clothing. So if I ever find any more of their brand clothing, I might be picking them up. Okay, so what would be next? I guess it'd be this, chronologically. So I mentioned that we found and went into a Goodwill store, and this was my only purchase. Goosebumps Monster Blood Collection by R.L. Stine, hardback. Oh, I guess they took it off. I think it was like $2.99. And, considering this is a hardback, and I don't really see these very often. I was like, I think I'm going to grab this. Now, it has Monster Blood 1, 2, and 3, the trilogy, in it, and I thought that was pretty cool. And I don't see these very often when they're like 3 books in the one, and it's a hardback book. I have one, I want to say one of these, and I know it's not Monster Blood. It's a different one, but when I saw this and I was like, it's $3. It's in really nice condition. I was like, yeah, you know what? Why not? So that was my one and only pickup from a Goodwill in Connecticut. Yeah, this would be next then. Okay. So I mentioned to you guys that in the beginning of this video, I visited 2 small business local chain video game stores. And those two stores are called Game Exchange, and the other is Retro Games Plus. Now, like I also stated at the beginning of this video, I've never been in either of those, so this was my first official time setting foot in a Game Exchange store and a Retro Games Plus store. And because of that, by the time this video goes out, I'm uploading a video of me touring and walking around and looking at the Game Exchange store. And I want to give a shout out to that Game Exchange store. So that Game Exchange store was like it was like 30 or 40 minutes, I want to say, drive from like where we were staying at. And that Game Exchange store is located at 609 West Main Street, Norwich, Connecticut. I wish I would have gotten the 2 employees' names that I talked to and were in the video, because they were super cool, really nice, very friendly, and you could tell they are gamers and game collectors themselves, and they were passionate and enjoyed doing their job and working at that store. So this was a really cool experience. I loved my first ever experience being in a Game Exchange store. I would highly recommend checking them out if you've never checked them out before. And yeah, so there was 3 PlayStation 1 games I saw in this specific Game Exchange store location that caught my eye. This is one of them, Fatal Fury Wild Ambition. The second was... Or wait, did I say 3 PlayStation 1 games? Wait, why did I say 3 PlayStation 1 games? It was only this one and another one, wasn't it? Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I don't know why I said 3. There was 2 PlayStation 1... Well, okay. Scratch that. There was a couple games that they had in the store in general that caught my eye. However, 2 of them I ended up not buying, and the third I did. So the one I bought is Fatal Fury Wild Ambition on PlayStation 1. Not a great Fatal Fury game or fighting game in general, but it's kind of uncommon, and because of that, I said, you know what, even though it's missing its instruction manual, let me just buy it, because it is uncommon. It's not rare, I would say. It's uncommon. And I believe this was the Fatal Fury game that was famously made on the Hyper Neo Geo 64. And then that whole platform just completely tanked, and SNK did away with that arcade cabinet. But this was ported to the PlayStation 1, if my memory serves me correctly. Now, the other 2 games I speak of that I was interested in but then ended up buying was R-Types on PlayStation 1. That was complete in box. And the King of Fighters Neo Wave on original Xbox, which in my 300 subscriber video special, when I looked at Neo Geo games on the Xbox, that was one of the 2 games I mentioned I do not own currently. So when I saw that, I got really happy. But then when I looked at it and asked to see it, and they had to pull it out from the display case, they informed me that the artwork was a printed out reproduction version of the artwork, number one. And number two is missing its instruction manual. So I was just like, no, you know what? Sorry, this isn't for me. Thank you for telling me that, though. I don't want it. And I put that back. Now, R-Types, on the other hand, I probably should have gotten that, but you know what? That's okay. It's perfectly fine. You know, that disc was pretty badly scratched, and my rule of thumb is I don't like to pay a lot of money for scratched game discs. And so I said no and put that back. However, I'm going to explain something really cool that they did with both of these games that really showed how much they cared to me. So I bought this Joy Plus DMG model Game Boy carrying case, but it's unlike any carrying case I've ever seen before because you can actually play it while it's in the case. That to me was just really cool, and it has this strap on it. And for $5.99, I was like, why not? Now, Fatal Fury Wild Ambition, that is boxed, missing manual. That was $30, which I didn't really think that was bad. And then I got We're Back, A Dinosaur Story on Super Nintendo. Completely random game, and I'm sure you're questioning why. Well, here's the answer. As a kid growing up, I watched the original 1993 Jurassic Park, Disney's movie that was just simply called Dinosaur, and then We're Back, A Dinosaur Story. Those were like the top dinosaur movies I watched as a kid. And so when I saw this game, I was like, oh my God, I got to get it. I don't even care if it's bad. It was made by High Tech Expressions. It could be bad for all I know. I don't know. But I was just like, you know what? I got to get this because the nostalgia strings were really pulling hard on it. And on top of that, it was only $7.99. So why not? Now this is the gem, I think. This is the gem of what I got at the Game Exchange. Sega presents Outrun 2 on original Xbox. This was an original Xbox exclusive game on top of that. And that was only $25. I did not think that was bad. Now it is missing its manual, but the case and the artwork is in really good shape. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to grab this. So, what was the cool thing I mentioned they did for these two? So, I showed interest in both of these games. I talked to the one guy behind the counter, and I said, these both are kind of scratched. Do you guys clean or resurface these discs? And the way he answered me was interesting because he looked at me and he said, we do have a resurfacing machine right here, but we only resurface and clean the discs upon request if a customer wants us to. We do not do that on our own because some people don't like us doing that to these game discs, and so we only do it upon request. So I asked them if they could run these through the machine, and they did, and they turned out 100% better looking than what they were, and so I bought them. So I was really happy with that. Highly recommend the Game Exchange store on 609 West Main Street in Norwich, Connecticut. If you're in the area, you got to hit them up. Them dudes were super cool, and I had a great experience buying from them. Okay, coming down to the end here. Okay. This is where things get good. So, on our way to the Retro Games Plus store. Now, the Retro Games Plus store was the furthest distance-wise away store that we traveled to. It was 56 or 50-something minutes away. It was basically close to an hour away, and we still drove there, which I was very thankful and grateful that my dad was willing to do that. But on our way there, we found an antique store that was like styled like one of those antique market stores that you go in and there's a bunch of vendors with booths in there. And I love them. That's cool, always checking them out. So this one vendor had all this stuff, these 4 items in his booth, And I was like, couldn't believe it because his prices were really good. And, I jumped on this stuff. Now, I'll be honest with you guys. Of these 4 items, only Samurai Showdown and Kanan Jarrus are for myself. The First Order Snowtrooper and the Yu-Gi-Oh! Structure deck I actually bought for my friend Davide and my friend Tyler. So really, of these 4 items, only these 2 are for myself. Those 2 are for my friends, like I just said. And, I like doing that. I like surprising my friends when I find stuff that I know they would like. I've said this before, and I'll say this 100 times. I always feel like it's better to give than to receive, and that's just how I am. So Samurai Showdown is complete in box. It was $18. Did not think that was bad. I own this on Super Nintendo, but I don't own the Genesis port, so I figured why not. Kanan Jarrus, it was $12. Now his box is a little beat up, as you can see, but he is still brand new, sealed with the tape. So I was like, I don't care, I still want it. Now, this First Order Snowtrooper I bought for Tyler, and he is also brand new, sealed still with the tape, never opened. And he was only $8, and I bought him for Tyler because, well, I got him into collecting Star Wars Black Series figures, but he kind of just stopped collecting any and every random Black Series figure, and he mainly only sticks to Clone, Storm, or First Order Troopers. Basically, he only collects now he basically only collects Trooper Black Series figures now. So I know he doesn't have that, and I think, for $8, that was a no-brain buy because it's new, and I think he'll appreciate that. Now, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Structure deck, this is also brand new sealed. This was never opened as far as I can tell, and he only had $8 on it. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to pick that up for Davide. His birthday is coming up, even though I did already buy him something for his birthday, but I'm going to add that to it, and I hope he enjoys it, because as a kid growing up, I collected Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, but I don't no longer, and so I don't know if this one is any good or not, but I just figured for $8, why not? So yeah, that all came from this one vendor's booth in an antique market. I do regret one thing though. This vendor in his booth had the game Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions on Xbox 360. And he had $50 on it. Now, I don't know if it was complete in box. I don't also know what condition the disc was in because he had it locked in a display case. And I guess you would have had to have get the guy at the counter to unlock it for me, but I didn't end up buying that. And I probably should have, because that's about a $70, $80 game, and at $50, that was very reasonably priced. Although something tells me that since it was at $50, it probably didn't have its instruction manual. But even still, that would have been a good deal. And I've heard it's a great game too, so I do kind of regret not buying that, but oh well. Okay, last but certainly not least, Retro Games Plus pickups. Yep, that's it. Just these 2. So, the Retro Games Plus I went to, it is located, its address is 2453 Berlin Turnpike, Newington, Connecticut. That is the specific area location, Connecticut Retro Games Plus I went in, and the store itself was very cool. The arcade cabinets and the retro video game kiosks they had on display were super cool. The atmosphere was cool. The vintage toys and clothing that they had in the store was cool. But I'm sorry to say, the video game selection that they had there, in my personal opinion, was about average. Like, there wasn't really anything I was going, whoa, that's really rare, or whoa, you never see that, It just wasn't there. The inventory was not there, in my opinion. However, there were 4 games I saw that were catching my eye. Silent Hill 2 Restless Dreams, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo on Panasonic 3DO, and Castlevania 2 Belmont's Revenge on Game Boy, and The Real Ghostbusters also on Game Boy. I passed on Super Street Fighter 2 because I don't think it was in its original case, and that's kind of a big deal to me for a 3DO game. The 2 Game Boy games were loose cartridge only, but I couldn't see what prices they had on them. The Silent Hill 2 was the only game I could see the price on, $52. And I went, that's actually not a bad deal for that game. And I asked to see it, they got it out, and that was when I realized that it was missing its manual. But that's okay. The case and its artwork are in really good shape, and the disc is like new condition, not even a fingerprint on it. And then I looked through their magazines and strategy guides and found this King of Fighters 12 strategy guide for $15, which I thought was really cool because I have that game. So really cool, really dug Retro Games Plus, but I'm sorry, their current game inventory, it just wasn't anything to write home about, you know? So these were my only 2 purchases from Retro Games Plus, and I'm still happy with them, don't get me wrong. The woman behind the counter was very nice and friendly, but, you know, their game inventory just wasn't, let me put it to you this way. It wasn't anything that I couldn't go to my local retro game stores in New Jersey and find. Let me put it that way, okay? So, yeah, that's going to do it for all my summer 2024 vacation pickups. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And please let me know down below in the comment section what your single favorite item I bought on this summer vacation was. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.